Welcome to Radio Dead Air Tech Q&A. You've got questions, we've got guesses. I'm Nash, been doing this ages and ages, in addition to streaming and whatnot. I'm also an IT professional. With me, as always, my producer, Mike Gearman, who also works in IT. If you have tech questions for Mike and myself, you can send those to requests at radiodeadair.com. We'll attempt to put those on for you. It is a Sunday night tonight, and I apologize because my ISP has just lost its merry little fucking mind.
Well, I mean, as far as things go, it's not a bad reason to have to shift the show a day. I mean, it's not like you were convicted of 34 felonies.
That's true. Now, there is some fundamental issue with their connections, and some part of the equipment on the line is messed up, which is causing interference, which is causing packet loss. That means little bits of information that are being sent go away. Now, a lot of other aspects of the internet, packet loss doesn't really affect, because
if you load a web page and it goes, oh, I've lost the packet in the middle, it'll resend and the web page will still load.
Yeah, it says, oh, I've lost this one. Okay, can you send that one again? Yeah, sure, no problem. But when you're trying to do streaming video or play games, for that matter, the order in which the packets arrive are kind of essential.
Indeed.
So if you start losing packets, then when you have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you lose 4, you can't just resend it because we're already on to 8, 9, 10, 11. So
in a game context, this causes things like rubber banding or running in place. And in a video context, it causes skips and pauses and just
to just be
low quality video.
So I'm going to have to contact them again this week if it keeps up. Tonight, it's fine. I was running some tests. I got up early today because we were also having some issues with my D drive. I still can't figure out that one. I ran some streaming tests using Twitch Inspector, and I also did some gaming stuff on the D drive. Nothing went wrong at about 6 a.m. today. And I was doing the D20 live bit this afternoon, and I was on Discord. We had perfect, no problems here. I ran a test stream for an hour before we started here. No drops. So I don't know. It's freaking irritating.
I mean, it could be something as simple. Hey, there's intermittent road work going on.
Yeah.
I mean, people say, well, wait a second. It's the weekend. Do they do that? If it's an emergency, yes. I had some being done out in front of the house here a week or so back over the holiday weekend, because apparently that was the gas people fixing something under the road. Yay. Which I wish they would have told me. I'd have gone to see a movie for a few hours.
Well, in better news, that battery I needed to replace in my 7A arrived. iFixit is world freaking class. I will tell you that. For one thing, that my phone looks practically good as new. It's working good as new. In addition to the battery, they sent every single tool I would need to do the job. Every screw.
Do you have to send anything back?
No, they sent me a full toolkit.
Well, that's what I asked, because some of the repair services will go, here's your box with the stuff that you need to do your repairs. When you're finished with repairs, send back the box.
No, they gave me a whole new screwdriver, special bits for it, because there were some screws, but they were on the inside. They gave me this wonderful thing. One of the problems with trying to work on phones these days is they glue everything together.
Yes.
And the way you get it apart if you are at home is you have to get a hairdryer, which kind of works but takes a while, or a hot air gun, which really works but could also easily damage the equipment. So they came up with this little liquid pack, this gel pack thing that you just microwave for like 30 seconds. And you take it out and you hold it on the phone, and that melts the glue. So instead of being this hot air that could damage, really, really nifty idea. So it was great. They sent me everything. The phone is back up and working, and iFixit, great company. Another thing this week, I was given, all right, I did one of those Amazon surveys, and I actually won something, which, you know, is probably the only thing I'll ever win in my life. I got this little, well, I say little, it's 11 inches. This is an Android tablet. It is, well, don't, you're like, oh, wow, really? And I'm like, well, take it, give it a second. It is very nice. It is constructed as everything. It has an aluminum back. It came with this case, which at first I'm like, this is kind of a sucky case. It took me a second to realize that this thing on the back was not like a chevron or something. It's actually a cutout that becomes part of the stand. So I'm like, oh, this is actually really not a bad cover at all. That's nice. And I know you're sitting there going, wow, that's amazing. What's the catch? There are a couple. Well, let me tell you about the features it does have. This is an AGM Pad 2.
Okay.
It has Android 14, which is nice, very, you know, up to date version of Android. 11-inch screen, IPS, so it's got perfect viewing angle and stuff. It's not OLED, but OLED's kind of a bad idea for this sort of stuff. 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage space, in addition to an SD card slot, and it can take a data SIM, which Google Fi gives me for free, so I ordered one of those. It's got your camera, it's got all that, you know, it's got a camera and stuff on the back. Let's see what else. I mean, it's
so sounds like there's some drawbacks though.
Well, the reason why it's about $150. The reason why is it's using a 2-year-old processor that is actually a remake of a 4-year-old processor. That is actually a remake of a 5-year-old processor. It's called the Helios G99 from MediaTek, which is, you've probably heard of Snapdragon and from Qualcomm, and you've probably heard of Apple Silicon and the maybe even Google's Tensor, the ones they've designed themselves. There are a couple of smaller companies that are making ARM CPUs. MediaTek is one of them. Unisoc is another one. They're not the fastest and the best, but for a lot of low end hardware for phones and stuff, it works. This is so, but here's the other thing. Another reason I wanted to bring it up tonight. One of the problems it has is, while the graphics for like, quite often think about the built-in graphics on an Intel CPU or something, like for an i3 or an i5. They'll work fine to get you to the desktop, but you're not playing Crysis. So this one does have an okay GPU in it, but it's not very robust. And to like trying to play stuff like Pokemon Go on here, the frame rate drops, and this is a 90 hertz panel, which is also really nice. That's, I'm like, wow, really? But the frame rate just plummets. It can't handle it. And there are a lot of games on Android that don't have settings you can turn down, like on desktop. Like a lot of games, if you're playing a game and your GPU can't handle it, one of the options you have is just turn the settings down, and that will increase your frame rate again. There are a lot of games on Android that assume you can't do that, because typically you can't. There are no settings you can adjust on Android. Well, I found this neat little piece of software to help me with this issue. Put it on the screen over here for everybody. In case you're having issues with a slower Android phone and you want to play some games or also save your battery, which is a neat little trick here. This is a piece of software called Pixels Resolution and DPI Changer. And what it can do is something that's very basic for Windows, but Android, not really something you usually do, and that is lower the resolution on your screen. So I've been able to turn it down. It comes at this is a 1920 by 1200 native. I can turn it down to 1280 by 800, and all of a sudden I get all the frame rate back. And it's a little blurrier, but not by much. And suddenly gaming's easier. Also, when you turn down your resolution, your GPU doesn't have to work as hard, meaning you can save your battery in critical situations. If you want a longer battery life on your device, this can do it. Now, the catch. This is not something Android is supposed to be able to do. In fact, if you do it wrong, you can brick your device. In that, when I say you can brick your device, it's that if you turn the settings wrong, if you put it to a resolution it's not supposed to have, if you raise or lower the dots per inch too far, the screen becomes, you can't actually use it.
You can't do anything with it, which includes probably changing it back.
Yeah. It does have, although this does have that nice test setting like Windows has. It'll test for resolution for like 5 seconds and then revert it back. So that could come in handy. But this is not a setting that is normal for Android. There are two ways to normally accomplish this. One way is rooting your phone, but that's not always a practical option. The other way is you download something that's freely available. It's the Android SDK, the developer kit. And included in that is the ADB, which you'll forgive me, I don't know off the top of my head what that stands for. We have so many acronyms in technology. It is a set of console commands that allows you to interact with the basic fundamental levels of your device, phone, tablet, whatever. You hook it up to a USB port on your computer with just a regular USB cable, and you go into the command prompt on your, there are step-by-step instructions for this. It's not hard. And in this case, you run a command that gives this app permission to change the resolution. Sort of like, you're giving it an administrator command, which is sort of a halfway between rooting and not. And that's once you do that, it's set and it's ready to go. And it's not hard to do. And the instructions are actually in the application itself. So that is the kind of the take back on it. But the benefits are very nice.
And it was free.
It's free. Well, and then there is one other little issue. When this version of Android is done, I'm not sure I'm going to see another. Because this is not like Apple or Google or Samsung where they guarantee operating system updates. In fact, right now, I can't even find the ROM for this model. The previous model is available on their website, but not for this. Which means if there's ever an issue and I have a real big screw up and I need to try to revert it back to stock, too bad. If you have a little bit of knowledge of Android, you'd be like, well, why don't you just put a custom version of Android on there? You can't. Every custom ROM for Android is bespoke. It is designed for that device because each device has the bootloader, which is the thing that prevents it from loading a custom ROM, and you have to have a way to get around that. So there is a standard way they give you for that one particular device. And if you don't have that, and you don't have a ROM designed for that device specifically, it's not like with Windows. You can just take a USB stick with Windows and install it on any Windows PC. you have to have the one for this device. And since there isn't one, I think I get this one version of Android, and maybe in about 3 years, it's goodbye.
At that point, Nash, what I would suggest doing is turning it into additional little gaming screen for whatever setup you have there.
Maybe.
Somehow.
But yeah, at the I mean, I'm going to try and see, since my laptop is like 10 years old, I'm going to try and see how viable this is as a replacement, because I do have a little Bluetooth keyboard and it's a touchscreen already. Because what I use my laptop for is typically I watch stuff on it, I browse on it, and if I have to do heavier stuff, then I remote into my main desktop system and I use that. This might be a decent replacement, because it's weird to have an Android device that is potentially as powerful as a 10-year-old PC. That's just odd to me. But that's where we've gotten to these days. It's really kind of cool. So yeah, you can find this thing on Amazon. I'm fairly happy with it so far. There haven't been any defects or any issues like that. Oh, one other thing though, I should mention this as well. It uses the basic version of Android, not Google's version, the basic version. Google has their own launcher, the Pixel launcher. Every other, like Samsung and when we had LG, and the other companies, they have their own Android launcher. This one uses Quick Step, which is the basic, the generic one. And what I tried to put on the launcher I prefer, which is Nova Launcher, which that should work with everything. It's what I've got on my phone. It doesn't play nice with the underlying settings on here, so I'm having to use the basic launcher on here. It's not a bad. It's a little bit of a workaround. Again, this was free, so, but just it's not as customizable as some of my other devices. Technically, my phone is faster than this thing, but it is it's a neat little thing to have, and I won something. Cool, yay. All right. Let's see. Now we'll get to some news stories and we'll get to your questions. This first story is Let's pause and go back a few months. You will remember that the board of OpenAI at the time fucking fired Sam Altman.
Possibly quite deservedly.
Yeah, and one of the reasons they gave for firing him was he was lying to us.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Microsoft stepped in, who has dumped billions of dollars into OpenAI. And
said, no, you can't fire him. We want him on the board.
Because
he should stay.
Because he was the one, of course, pushing massively for commercialization of the OpenAI before...
Yeah.
The rest of the people like, aren't we supposed to be doing something for the good of society with OpenAI? No, we need to make money.
And then smash cut to a few days ago.
Remember, he got fired for lying to them. Well, guess what he did? Apparently, without informing Microsoft, he has cut a deal with Apple to provide the large learning model ChatGPT garbage for Siri.
Siri. Mm-hmm. I'll say to enhance Siri. Now keep in mind, of course, Siri was okay at answering your stuff before.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not have been great. It may not have handled accents well. Most of them don't. But it was okay. And then they're going to add OpenAI to that, which can famously lie to you.
Oh yeah, it's
Siri, at least, if it didn't know, wouldn't make stuff up.
No,
can you rephrase that question? I don't understand, or whatever the Siri version of that was.
Yeah. So now, a while back, for Apple Search, instead of developing their own search engine and crap, which that would be insane because the expenditure for them. They just cut a deal with Google for Google to be the basic search for their Safari browser. This is kind of like that. The only trouble is Microsoft wanted to be the only people with the ChatGPT as the underpinning of their little assistant, which is their Microsoft Copilot for Windows.
And now they're feeling a bit hurt and probably quite a bit betrayed. And I would guess that Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella is like, wait, we bailed his ass out.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he doing this to us?
Not only that, all the money that Microsoft has put into OpenAI
is now going to be utilized effectively by their biggest, well, one of their biggest competitors. I can't say biggest.
All the servers they've bought, all the research they've done, all the man hours they paid for the employees. Well, now that all Apple's gonna be like, hey, we showed up at the end and we get all the good stuff. Thank you. We don't have to put it in. We'll just get this little deal right here and everything's great. And also to make things concern, this isn't in the article, but this happened this week. I don't want to mention it as well. Folks, you're going to need to start being very discerning. I know this is like, what? This week, OpenAI cut a bunch of deals with media outlets.
With The Atlantic, with
Vox.
Was it Washington Post?
Washington Post, Vox Media.
To assist them, I think, in writing articles mostly.
No, not white. It was to take. They're paying these companies for the data from these articles to feed into ChatGPT, and they don't want to pay them copyright, so they've struck a deal. Essentially, now they are the patrons of a number of media outlets, a large number.
So when something bad comes out about Sam Altman, some or more or all of those media outlets are going to fail to report on it.
Possibly. The Verge is one of those two, which I've kind of always hated The Verge.
And by the way, I did say when, not if.
Yeah. Fortunately, Condé Nast has not submitted to this yet, which means Ars Technica is still, well, as independent as they possibly can be these days. It ain't like the old days for Ars Technica, bless their hearts. But yeah, it's be aware of this going forward. If you start seeing the coverage of OpenAI get a little softer, that might be why, because they are essentially right now, when subscriptions are down, when revenue all over the place is down, suddenly here's OpenAI shows up with a big bag of money. Now, are they gonna want to piss off OpenAI? I mean, it's a gigantic conflict of interest, and we're gonna have to see how separate the firewall between editorial and management actually is. Like,
indeed,
if we're talking like what used to be Gizmodo Media, then not very. But we'll see.
And by the way, there was other AI news this week, which you didn't send to me, but there's a bit. Google is scaling back its use of AI generated answers
temporarily while they fix it,
because they were so crap.
Well, what? They were just telling us to put glue into pizza. That sounds reasonable.
Rocks. And
rocks,
that what was the other one? There was another one. And one of their excuses for why this was okay is, well, no one had ever asked that question in the training data. Yeah, of course not. You're not going to cover the circumstances in data. I mean, I don't think that you covered all the circumstances in if Google was a guy.
Yeah. So there's all that. On the other side of it, Computex is this week. I am relieved to note that some of the talk of what was going to be coming up next with the Ryzen CPUs seems to have been not true, which I will take that. I will eat the humble pie of saying we got this one wrong. Well, not entirely. The AI CPUs that they were going to be releasing, the AMD, right? Because there is going to be the AMD Ryzen AI 300. Those appear to be mobile chips. However, the Ryzen 9000 series is not going to be using the AI branding just yet. This is the Granite Ridge processors. And while I believe they may be adding the NPU, it's not prominent and they're not super advertising it, which is super nice. However, here's some interesting things. We have the lineup is as pretty much as we expected. Not a big boost in fact, zero boost in clock speed between the 7950X and 7900X. They're using the same clocks. The 700, the 9700 is 1.1 gigahertz faster than the 7700. The 9600.
It goes up by 0.1 each time. So 5.4,
yeah,
5.5, 5.6, 5.7.
It's not
the big difference. The big difference from the low end of the scale to the top end of the scale is the cache and the cores and threads.
Oh, and well, the cores and threads are this. I mean, they're all pretty much the same. This is the same product stack. But
yeah, it's 6, 8, 12, 16, and double that for threads.
However, the cache, for one thing, the cache has gone. Well, no, the cache is the same. Sorry, I was looking at the X3D. Never mind. The cache is the same, but the big difference, the one main difference, is the TDP, the wattage of the CPUs. The 7950 and the 9950 are still going to be 170 watts. Those are the top end of the scale, the big bubbas. But this is nice. The 7900X is going to be going down, or the 9900X is going to be dropping by about 50 watts to 120 watts, which means they'll be able to get the same or better performance with 50 less watts of power.
Yeah.
Which means a lot less heat.
Oh, yeah.
The 9700 versus the 7700X is a 105 watt part. Well, now it's going down to 65 watts, just like the non-X SKUs. They're managing to push to get more performance out of it at a lower wattage, which that might not sound super exciting, but considering that Intel has spent the last 3 generations, well, 2.5 generations asterisk, throwing so much power through their CPUs, they're having stability issues with their motherboard partners now.
Yep.
This is welcome to see the efficiency on Ryzen has always been great about efficiency. They've just been getting better and better and better about it. So this is really neat. And if they can do this sort of efficiency with the desktop parts, that means the laptop parts are going to look really impressive too, because they'll be able to bring down the wattage there, which means less wattage on a laptop part, longer battery life, more speed available to it. Just a lot of nice. So yeah, I'm happy to report that AI stuff is being staved off for now, for a little teeny bit. Teeny tiny bit for now, little bit. So, yeah, it's gonna be nice. So, all right, and another thing, this Computex is we're seeing some stuff. Just wanted to mention this one briefly because it was so interesting. It's been a while since we've started seeing some real nice iterations on CPU cases. Lee has been, they've definitely been pushing the envelope in this. They've got a new one. The SUP 1, as in SUP, I guess. I don't know. What makes this case interesting is they are reimagining how you put together a desktop CPU. what it's going to look like is, for one, they're putting the GPU in front for the air intake. The front of the case is going to be whatever your GPU cooling device is, which is wild. There is a all-in-one that goes on the back of the system. So behind the motherboard, they're going to have the radiator and all that's going to be on the back of the system, which is going to be exhausting in its own chamber. It's still a little wonky because you can see on the back there's an external 120 millimeter fan as opposed to putting it inside, so that's weird. All of
it's
this,
an interesting design to try to make this thing as efficient as cooling as possible.
All of this is in the pursuit of trying to get cooling better. We've kind of been stuck with one design for a long time. Hasn't been very iterative. This is a considerable shift. It also, of course, supports the new standard that's coming out, which is the connectors on the back of the motherboards, which seems like it's starting to catch on a little bit. Simply for cable management and whatnot, instead of having the cables come up and over and plug into the motherboard on the front side, just plug them in behind, and you don't have to have cables running all over your desk. Oops, sorry, not your desk, your desktop. So yeah, it's interesting to see someone trying something different. Now, of course, what happens is Lee tries something different, and then everybody else tries the exact same different thing, because that's just, case manufacturers are not really. They're a bit.
There's not huge innovation going on from generation to generation.
Well,
they're more like car manufacturers in that regard. You can go, okay, I can tell that is a different year model than this car, but I couldn't tell you which one it is.
Well,
because it's
also that
the colors are different. That's it.
It's also that they shamelessly steal from one another. Like,
that too.
Literally steal from one another. Like, there are so many patent lawsuits, which is funny because every single one of them, or at least a lot of them, are guilty of the same damn thing. So it's the hypocrisy going back and forth is hilarious. But
well, I mean, and some of it is okay. Case Company 1 is going to sue Case Company 2 because of some of their designs. Case Company 2 turns and says, "Hey, we're going to sue you back because of these other designs." And then they stop and they think for a minute and they go, "We could just save all the time and money and cross-license to each other." And a few of them do that.
All right. Well, that's our news for this week. Let's get to questions. Some of these are actually fairly straightforward, which I do appreciate sometimes. We do get those that way. Diego's got one for us. Hello, hi, and salutations. Is it finally time to upgrade to an Intel Arc A580 or A750 for 1080p gaming? It depends.
So part of it's going to depend on what your budget is and what you're looking at as far as, okay, my video card died, what's available? And in that case, I'd say yes, the A750 is probably okay to upgrade if you're looking for something to replace until next year's tax money comes in or whatever.
No.
No?
It's, bless their hearts, Intel has tried with this. The challenge.
If you could get a deal on an A750, I'd go for it.
Well, okay, but what if you want to play one of the games that the A750 can't do? Like Starfield right now. The A750 is still having huge problems running Starfield. Now, I'm like, some of you out there are like, I don't want to play Starfield. That's fine.
Well, yeah. The follow-up, yes, who's playing Starfield?
There are a couple of games that, and this is why I say it's still not quite ready for prime time. They have done amazing work with this in such a short period of time. What has made Intel's work with the Arc so exceptional is they have had to enter a space that has been dominated by two other players. And those two players have this institutional knowledge and inertia from all of these years of driver updates and optimizations and getting their hardware to work as well as it possibly could with decades worth of games. And here comes Arc having to step into all that.
I'm going to question as well as they possibly could.
No. Well, here comes Arc stepping into all of that, having to catch up to what NVIDIA has been doing since the 2000s, what AMD has been doing since back when they were ATI. And what they've managed to do with the first generation of the Arc GPUs has been commendable. But this is still a beta project. Straight up, it is. This is a beta product. They're stable and they do have performance. So if you're just looking for an all-around GPU and you are not focused on a single specific game, yes. Also, the encoders in them are rock solid. So if you need that for video encoding work,
and you can find them at sub 200,
that's not a place where AMD and NVIDIA are playing right now for some stupid reason. Well, AMD is to some work. But as it entirely depends. You're gonna have to do some homework and look it up yourself. You're going to have to try and find out which games aren't quite up to snuff and aren't working quite right. And it's not like Intel's going to tell you up front. Well, to some degree they are, but not entirely. Battle Mage is coming soon. We've seen a lot of behind the scenes stuff. That is going to be the second generation of the Arc GPUs. And we're expecting there are going to be some driver updates and improvements for that. But to a degree, there's only so much they can do with this first generation. A lot of what they've learned is going to go into Battle Mage. And that's going to leave the A750 and the Alchemist generation. It's going to be kind of an odd man out. And so this is entirely consider this a beta product, which is never going to be quite finished. Battle Mage is going to be a lot more refined than Alchemist was. We'll have to see how much more, but this should definitely be the kind of thing an enthusiast would get, someone who knows how to diagnose and fix shit on their own computer, because it's going to have quirks and it might introduce other issues. So yeah, just be aware. It's going to be I wouldn't say it's ready yet. Even for 1080p. I mean, speed wise, it's respectable, but it's all about stability. It's all about the specific applications, and it just can't compete with even AMD 7600 in terms of stability, in terms of knowing what you're going to get and function in different titles. It's very upfront, and it might cost a little bit more, but you're also knowing that it's pretty much going to work. Okay, let's see. This is from Jason with a Y, which is neat. Hey, Nash and Mike, I appreciate that you recommend Radeon cards for the value end of things, but are they really viable? We got a lot of video card questions this week.
Yes, they are.
Everything is DLSS now, and FSR sucks. Okay.
I feel he's come into this with strong opinions already set.
Plus, it seems like even AMD are pulling back with the 8000 cards. I know the price sucks, but wouldn't a 3060 be a better buy than an RX 7600? Thanks, Jason. Well, okay. This is all a matter of which end of the scale you're going to be playing at. If you are still focused on 1080p gaming, then Radeon is still very viable. Down at that level, yes, DLSS could add some improvements, and DLSS is deep learning super scaling. And FSR, which I don't remember what it stands for, is the AMD's equivalent to DLSS. The advantage of FSR is it'll work on any GPU. It is open and open source, and it doesn't require special hardware to function. DLSS only works on NVIDIA CPUs, and only going back to all the RTX series. Anything that's a GTX won't do it. So that is an advantage. If you're still using like a GTX 1080, that the FSR should, in theory, work with it. But FSR does have some issues. It's not, the fidelity is not as good. It has some noise. You can tell when it's being used.
Yeah.
So, but when you're down at 1080p, the gains you get back from DLSS or FSR are very subjective, and they depend a lot on what you're playing and how you're playing it. It gets, the improvements you get scale much better when we start getting to 1440p and 4K. The higher resolutions, they see a lot more getting a lot more frames back by using the super scaling technology. Because what's happening is when you use DLSS or FSR on a 4K game, what it's actually doing is it's taking a lower resolution, like say 1440p, and improving it with their deep learning model. It boggles it. I'd have to look up specifically how they do this stuff, but it's taking that lower resolution and bumping it up, which means
making it look like it's a higher resolution.
Yeah, and you get the advantages of running your card at a lower resolution, which is better frame rates, with the return that the trade-off that you get a little bit of fidelity taken off, which is why DLSS is supposed to bring a lot of that back, and it does help, and it does look good. But when you're down at 1080, the frame rates are really great down there on just about every card right now. Like everybody's, well, depending on your settings, everybody's able to get really good frame rates down at 1080 because the cards are all crazy powerful right now. So what I'm bringing this around to is on the value end of things, on the entry level things, if you're playing with 1080p, there's diminishing returns with getting bigger and badder. Like if you're not using a 4090 to play 1080p games. If you are, I don't understand what's wrong with you.
Well, if you have a 4090 and you're playing it because you said, oh, I haven't played this in a while, I want to play it again. That's one thing. If you're just all you play is that, yes, you're doing overkill.
Yeah, if we're talking about a 1080p monitor and trying to hook up one of the, like, even something like a 4070 Ti is a bit of an overkill for that. Those are 1440p and up sort of cards. AMD down at the lower end of things at 1080p gaming, the 7600 XT, the 7700, those are really solid 1080p cards, and FSR is okay there. Ray tracing is a little, but the nice thing is at the low level, ray tracing is also a little on NVIDIA's side as well too, because it needs a lot of oomph to get that to work. The more expensive cards can do it. Less expensive cards, even on NVIDIA's side, have trouble with ray tracing and stuff at the earlier ends of stuff. Pretty much what I'm saying.
I'll be honest. When this question came in, I got this. I looked at it and said, I went to user benchmark and just compared the two. And it came back as, no, the RX 7600 is better pretty much across the board, except market share. Everyone buys the other one.
AMD, they went into AMD's marketing, this is kind of like going off on a tangent, but AMD has gone into this with the idea that they can compete with NVIDIA by saying, okay, we'll knock like $50. Well, no, not even. We'll knock like $20 off the price of this same tier of card, right? That's all you need, right? $20? make it a little $20 cheaper, and then you'll buy it, right? That's all. When they haven't embraced the fact that they need to take the same approach with their video cards that they took with Ryzen. Ryzen, when it first came out, was well behind the performance of Intel at the time. And in response, AMD said, well, we'll price it accordingly. We will give it a price that reflects the performance gap, but we still believe in these processors. And enthusiasts were like, that's fair. That's fair. We'll give that a shot. They have refused to price. I guess it's two different divisions in AMD. You know how different divisions in a company work. I guess the Radeon team, either their marketing or their executives, have refused to price the Radeon GPUs where they should be in relation to NVIDIA's, which the shortcomings on their GPUs can only be made up by a value buy. And while they are cheaper and they do give you more raw rasterization and drawing potential at the same price tier, it's still the gap between the features and just the fact that they don't have the market share, they don't have the recognition. Their prices need to be better. Their prices need to be a lot better. Even though they are still a better value at the lower end than NVIDIA, their prices still aren't great. They need to be willing to push those down lower, and they haven't been. It's just they kind of have this sort of magical thinking about their GPUs, and I don't quite think they really appreciate where they are in the market. But all of that is to be saying, a 3060, yeah, you're going to be able to use DLSS on it, I guess, but the drawbacks on everything else in comparison, FSR is not a bad trade-off at that. We're talking 1080p. Considering what you get back for. I mean, there's what is the 7600 XT going for right now? That's a 16 gigabyte entry level GPU, or just above edge. $300 for the 7600 XT with 16 gigs of RAM. Now there is a 3060. Is it 12 gig or 16? I think it's 12 gig. 3060. There's not a 16. Yeah, for about the same money. But the 7600 XT is so much better in almost every other way. And I really couldn't, and considering also that the 3060 is long in the tooth at this point. So
it's a what? It's a 3-year-old card.
Yeah.
Which and then the 7600 is a 1-year-old card.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I hate to break in right now, but there's an important update at the moment. There's a possum on the porch right now, and he has spilled all of the food out of that dish and is now just eating it off the floor. Just great.
No table manners.
No table manners. Just knocked it all over on the, just having fun. Doesn't give a crap. Anyway, just thought I'd share that wall with you. You felt you needed that important update there. The joys of having a cat cam out on the porch. You find all sorts. Oh, you coming closer now, little buddy? You wanna come in for a close up? There you go. Oh, he wants something to drink now. So
is he going to spill all that on the floor too?
Maybe. No, he's not. Good. No, he doesn't do that. The raccoons do that because they're assholes.
What's coming up behind him there?
Oh, that's one of the cats. Don't worry, the cats are perfectly fine with the possums. It is weird, but they get along. They all get along just fine.
See, we had possums come onto my parents' porch a few times, and our cats did not get along with them.
No, everybody's chill. It's wild how everybody's just sort of like, fine with it. Anyway,
it might be water hole rules. Yeah. Oh no, There's food here. Everyone would be chill. We're not fighting each other.
Hmm.
Because we didn't have food on the porch for anyone. The cats were fed inside.
Okay, let's see here. Got another question. This is from Nancy L. She says, "Hi, Nash and Mike. I saw you talking about replacing the battery in your phone this week. I'm not in a position to replace mine yet, but the battery just won't hold a charge for more than half the day anymore. How hard and expensive is it to swap one out? I'd also really need a guide because I don't do this kind of thing, but I think I can follow directions. It's a Pixel 5a. Let's see. First, I can tell you right up front. For this, because iFixit exists, I can't in good conscience tell you just go grab one off Amazon. Because
and they literally have guides for everything. I'm looking at it right now, and there's 8 different guides here saying, what do you want to replace? Battery, motherboard, screen, front-facing camera, rear-facing camera, speaker assembly, headphone jack, SIM card tray, which I'm going to be honest with you, I'm like, people have had to replace that? Okay, sure.
I mean, if it's missing, yeah. Okay, so right here, I can already show you how much it's going to cost. $50.
$50.
I recommend doing this because they literally give you everything. There's that microwave thing I was telling you about earlier, the opener gizmo. Can you show them the picture, please? There it is. That little microwave thing. Everything you could potentially need to complete this task is given to you. In addition, because of the stupid glue, what they have right here is the glue. These are, they work kind of like stickers, but they are specific, very specific to the model of the phone. They have to match entirely. And as you can see, this does. So for $50, you get everything you need, and it is a genuine Google battery. It is not just some no-name brand that you'll find on Amazon. This is a part from Google. So you know it's what's meant to go in there and not just, you don't know what you're putting in your phone. Now, sometimes if you get to a certain point after a couple of years, like 5 or 6 or 7 years, and you need a battery, you take what you can get, but you're still pretty relatively okay in the life of your 5A. And the 5A's probably got another, they'll get Android 15. So you've got another year or so left with security updates and such. The kit and the guides are very good. Now, the drawback is this is finicky, delicate work, like really, really finicky, pain in the butt. The screws are super small. They're like, think of the screws in glasses, and they're that size. They're tiny. So you're gonna need a steady hand and a place to put said screws to keep them together. The instructions are comprehensive. They have guides, they have video guides, they have what else the word? Text. Why couldn't I find that word? Something's wrong with me. They have text guides, just comprehensive, you would not believe. And because apparently Google has worked with them on this, they're very good guides, and they've got genuine replacement parts and the glue you need. So iFixit would make it as easy as it's going to get. That being said, this is not easy work. This is it was a pain in my butt to get this done. Not impossible, but very finicky, very delicate. The stickers in particular. All the rest of it was really not that hard. In fact, the battery, getting the back off this phone was effortless because when the battery swole up,
Pop the back off.
it popped the back off for me, so I didn't have to break any glue or anything. I did have to clean all the old glue off, which was finicky and irritating as shit. But as far as trying to pull it apart, I didn't have to worry about that. There's also, and this is something you have to take into consideration, and this is so stupid. Depending on where you live, because like in South Carolina, there are laws about this. You've got to dispose of that battery in a certain way. Typically you have to, if like, for example, where I am, you have to take it to a recycling center, a designated recycling center where they take stuff in. The only trouble is for the entire area, which is my entire area, which is pretty huge. It's in Charleston, we can't in Charleston, we can't make buildings very tall. If you try to make a tall building in Charleston, you end up with a short building with a really big basement. So what we've had to do instead is we've built out. We have sprawl. There is the main area, which is downtown Charleston. Then there's North Charleston. Then there's West Ashley. Then there's Somerville. Then there's just Hanahan, just a whole bunch of different areas that have grown outward. And the recycling center is in one specific place, which is where I am. It is a good half-hour drive away. So you have to have a car and you have to have the time to go out there and do this shit, because it's not they don't deliver. So what I've had to do to make sure the battery in mine stayed safe, and mine is one of those swollen ones, which is definitely not safe. If your battery swells up, it's not safe. If you can smell something that's like acetone, it's super not safe. Lithium batteries, when exposed to air, you puncture the battery, the heat generated can cause them to catch on fire. And lithium fires provide their own oxygen, which means you can't put them out with water or with chemical foam. They just keep burning. So right now, while I'm waiting to take this damn thing all the way to the recycling center, it is sitting. The only option I had to me was to put it in a box of dirt. I've had to put the battery in dirt to prevent it from potentially catching fire. That's the only way for me to keep it in a safe area. Box of dirt. Real high-end technical stuff here. In any event, Nancy, look into where you need to dispose of your battery of safely. So it's
you know what my options are in my county?
What?
Here in California? I've got about 8.
We have one. We have one. Because fuck us.
Yeah, all of them are within about 5 miles.
I'll tell you what people do. They probably just throw this shit in the garbage, and yeah, bad things happen. Just the idea of seeing a battery fire burn down a garbage can is just amusing to me. You can see how, look, what I tell you to do is go through their instructions, read through them, see how comfortable you feel with what you're going to do here. If you think you're willing to do this, sure, try it. Understand you're taking on all the risk yourself. You're way out of warranty, so whatever happens, happens. Or another option you can take is you can get this, or they have the part only, which is actually only $7. The kit with all the stuff is only $7. That's nice. It's
by the way, Nash, I'm checking here, and according to calltorecycle.org,
yeah,
you might be able to take it to Lowe's. I would look into that.
Yeah, I would. This is Lowe's like 2 seconds away from me. Yeah. what you can do is get the parts and take it to a local repair center, a local phone repair center. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to cost you about $100 or a little bit more, somewhere between 100 and 150 to get this done. For a Pixel 5a, you have to decide if you're willing to invest that much money in it. Because $100 in a phone that old, that's up to you if you want to pull that off. 150 is you have to decide if getting a professional to do it with someone to back up their work matters to you. If not, you could do what I did on the cheap, and for just $50, I put a new battery in this thing, and it's working just like new. I haven't had zero problems with it. There is a process you have to go through with it, which if you replace the battery in your phone, there's a process you have to undertake. And iFixit very, very helpfully gave me a little card to explain how to do it. Battery calibration. This is in regards to how your device regards a new battery and interacts with it. To make it charge efficiently, what you have to do is install the new battery, charge it up to 100%, and then leave it charging for another 2 hours. Then use it until it runs completely out of battery, till it shuts off for no more battery. Then you have to charge it again to 100%. And this trains the software on the capacity of the battery and how to deal with it. And yeah, you need to calibrate them to work properly to get the best out of it. So in any event, again, this is entirely how comfortable your comfort zone with this, because this is some finicky work, and it is some frustrating work, and it's some irritating work. You have to decide if you want to put up with that. So, all right, that is going to do it for questions. We haven't got any new ones in tonight. So, well, considering things were all thrown off, I kind of stands to reason. We will be back next week, hopefully on Saturday, as usual, at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you have questions for Mike and myself, you can send those to requests@radio.air.com, and we will attempt to help you out with it. Otherwise, for Mike and myself, we will see you next time. Goodbye.